Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso@thewatchbox.com. It's in the description below. Your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any Watchbox platform. Please reach out to me directly, tmosso@thewatchbox.com. Today we're discussing a model that launched right around 1998, representing the evolution of the Audemars Piguet Royal Oak Perpetual calendar. The first Royal Oak Perpetual calendar arrived in 1981, and the evolution of the species was mercifully slow and gradual, preserving the best elements of the original 1972 Gerald Genta Royal Oak Jumbo, and this watch does have a lot of those design and engineering hallmarks. The watch you see here is stainless steel and platinum. Stainless steel case, clasp and bracelet primaries, platinum intermediate links, and a polished platinum bezel. Very special. This timepiece is easy to wear as it represents the original jumbo case profile, so 39 millimeters in diameter, though all Royal Oaks were a little bit big for their size. It is 9.4 millimeters thick, and from lug tip to lug tip, 48.7 millimeters. If you include these platinum intermediate plots, the outermost outcropping, the actual distance across the wrist, is a beefier measurement of approximately 52.2 millimeters. So this is a watch that should be thought of really as a 41 millimeter round watch in terms of how it wears. On my 16 centimeter circumference wrist, you can see super shallow and slick to the wrist, very low slung, an easy watch to wear with a tight dress sleeve or a formal cuff. Now, because the case itself does have a little bit of an angled arc at its edges, it will work with you a little bit, but I wouldn't wear it on a wrist smaller than 14 centimeters circumference. And the watch, as you can see from over the top and down the barrel, is actually a good match for my 16 centimeter circumference wrist. Because it is constructed partly of platinum, it is a fairly hefty watch. There's a satisfying weight and substance to this watch in the hand and on the wrist. The bracelet, well, this is part of what you pay for when you buy a Royal Oak. The finishing of the metal, the combination of the satin and the polish, the bevels, the sheer of the side, and of course with the platinum intermediate links and high polish and the high polished bezel, this one has a different look. You can see here, as it's always been with these Royal Oak bracelets, removable links are fixed in place using screws. No pin sleeves here. You can size using a screwdriver. There is a single fold stainless steel clasp with a single trigger release. You can see you pull the trigger back and it releases the clasp. Turn it all back to the case profile and you can see it's a combination of different metals, and fortunately steel, unlike white gold, is quite white. When you have white gold and platinum side by side, there's a marked tonal disparity. You can just see the hairline expression of the bezel gasket between the case and the bezel, and that's a long-running Royal Oak styling accent. Of course, Gerald Genta designed the original Royal Oak in 1972. That was the 5402 reference, and his inspiration was a vintage diving helmet. And you see that most in the bezel, which is rounded off and octagonal. And if you want to see that contrast between white gold and platinum, you could see it in the bezel bolts, which on the Royal Oak are historically white gold. And you can see white gold is just a little bit warmer than ultra white platinum 950. The dial is the Grande Tapisserie, and it is a black galvanized color. The Grand is the larger of the two hobnail dials. Back then, they were made by Stern Frere, and Stern, descended from a company founded by the Sterns of Patek Philippe fame, Stern built these dials for AP using a pantograph, which is a 19th century mimicry engine, a lathe that takes a big pattern with a hobnail and then makes a small template that mirrors the original model. So you wind up with the hobnail that you see here, and then it is galvanized black. So a very old school craft type construction method. The hands are white gold and beautifully polished, and then you can see the indices themselves are marked out using little white gold cabochon that are placed on a railroad track minute scale outboard. Cruciform symmetry, very handsome on the dial. We have a moon phase indicator with a 122-year adjustment interval down at 6 o'clock. The rest of the watch is a perpetual calendar, which means you don't need to make any changes when you hit irregular length months or perpetual, or I should say, irregular length months or leap years, the quantième bissextile. That fourth year, you can see, is coaxial with the month indicator. So you have a leap year cycle indicator inboard of a month indicator. You've got your days, you've got your dates. Some folks like English calendars, so I should mention this one is an English language calendar. And turn it all over, we have caliber 2120. An ancient fan favorite. It's based on a 1967 JLC 920 Bausch that was created under contract to be used by AP, Vacheron, and Patek, and those three used it, and JLC never built its own version of this, so it's only ever been used by the Holy Trinity. Now today, AP makes this movement in-house, and it has for decades, so it is beautifully finished to a standard you will not find on the 4401, 4302, or 3120 movements that are used in mass-produced Audemars Piguet watches. The beveling, the Côte de Genève, the black polishing of the screws is world-class, and you can see that the rotor here is a blackened version of the display caseback rotor AP used during the 90s. You can see that the largest arc within it is actually the mirror image of the Royal Oak bezel, and then there are little imprinted hexagonal screws within it. A 21 karat white gold mass. There's a full annular beryllium ring. So you can see the mass is on one side, but there's a rotor ring that runs all the way around, and it pivots on 4 rotor bearings. They're actually jeweled bearings. So you can have the rotor sunk super close to the bridges with no danger of contacting the bridges or the base plate if shock intervenes. All this is 20 meters water resistant, unidirectional automatic winding. It beats away at a quirky, vintagey 19,800 vibration per hour beat rate, and it has a 40-hour power reserve. The QP module on the top is called reference 2802. You can see it has a free-sprung Gyromax style balance adjusted in 5 positions, and then it has a 38 jewel architecture, so that's all you need to know about this movement. It's also a unidirectional winder, which was one of the reasons the base movement in this watch is only 2.4 millimeters thick. Everything was done to make it the state-of-the-art in ultra-thin watchmaking circa 1967, and this same base movement is the one that is featured in every generation of the Audemars Piguet Royal Oak Jumbo, making this watch very much a jumbo with a perpetual calendar. And if you look closely, you can even see old school jumbo construction. See the notch for the crown? The dial on the crown actually lower into the watch from the front. It's a front loader. If you look carefully at the case back, you can see it's the same as the mid case. The case back and the mid case are all one piece. It's a monoblock, and it's actually etched out of a single block of steel. This is the more expensive and traditional way of making the watch. It's the way Gerald Genta designed the Royal Oak family. As of about 2017, Audemars Piguet has stopped building the jumbo with a monoblock case. This is an old school watch that still features the integrity of the original construction. Reach out to Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details.